And welcome back to another edition of the EDF College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Johnson. I'm with Lamar Fields and Paul Casanova. How are you guys doing, gentlemen? How's your week and weekend been?
Good.
Pretty good.
That's good. So, college football this past weekend, and boy, oh boy, I got to catch glimpses of it. I did record games. That's besides the point. But a few upsets took place, and I want to actually touch on those. Number one is Notre Dame and USC. Going into this game, a lot of people knew that Notre Dame had multiple back-to-back primetime games, and as they struggled in some of those and let some of those get away, this one they seemed to pull away convincingly. Lamar, I want your thoughts on this first, considering you do follow a lot of the Pac-12. Whenever you look at USC prior to this game, and then you look at USC after this game, what are your thoughts on them based off of this game? And then where do you see things going for Notre Dame being a two-loss team right now, but actually having a victory against USC?
Um, Notre Dame is about where they had hard two losses, but they played well. I mean, they really had to do much because Caleb Williams threw three interceptions early, and it hurt USC, and USC couldn't run the football. So, but what's the name? Esteem had 95 yards rushing. The quarterback played only 326 yards, but threw two touchdowns, no interceptions. So they didn't have to do much. He's working with a short field a lot because Caleb Williams had a bad game, only had 199 yards passing, and the three picks were uncharacteristic. But hey, sometimes you just have a bad day. Got to turn the page and move forward. Uh, USC still got tough games ahead. Got Utah this week. Uh, got Washington and Oregon back to back in November, and then close out with UCLA. So, I mean, if they can win out, they still have an outside chance because they got a good strength of schedule over the next 5 weeks.
Well, what about you? What did you think of
I,
that?
I thought a little bit about what you just said, Lamar, and it is true. I think they did have a bad game, but I was surprised at how good of a game Notre Dame had because that score that's as lopsided as I ever
Yeah,
could imagine this game to be. Like I thought it would be much closer. If anything, USC would be on the other side. So to see it that lopsided going that way, that was pretty an amazing thing. And I also agree with you though, Lamar. They keep going. They still got all those big games ahead. This
yeah.
Utah, don't overlook the Utah one because that's a big
No,
one for their conference itself. Like who's going to be on top of the conference with Washington right there. So um they got big ones to go, and you're right. You
yeah,
have those. The mark of a champion is can you rebound from this and how you go from here. So we'll
yeah.
find out what happens. Yep,
Four
we'll
out of
find
the
out.
next 5 games are against ranked teams.
That's right. And we're
Yep,
so you're going to know who they are right away, right? I mean,
yep.
you're
Oh,
either
absolutely.
you're either for real or you were a pretender to begin with. So for them
Yep.
though, it's still there. They didn't lose nothing, I don't think. But
No,
but
and
pride, but a lot of
yeah,
pride.
I do agree. I think that USC can rebound. I just think that in a lot of ways, though, you cannot overlook Utah. Utah has been the Pac-12 champs the past 2 years. They've represented the Pac-12 in a Rose Bowl too. So it's going to be an interesting game. And I mean, everything's still in front of them, but those two games coming up, later on in the year against Oregon and against Washington are going to be pivotal uh, for USC. And I also want to stay on the Pac-12 for a minute because Washington did a number and they beat Oregon, which I can't say if I actually saw that coming, but yet again, we have been on a monumental road of upsets to say the least. And fun fact is that Washington is now ranked in the top five for the first time in 6 years. And then also a little side note, Air Force is ranked for the first time since 2019. But I want your thoughts on this, gentlemen. What does that Washington victory over Oregon say about the Pac-12 in general, but more importantly, what does it say about things moving forward?
I don't really see that game as an upset. That was a flip a coin game to me.
Thank you.
Two teams going at it. Washington played well. They got out to a little double-digit lead, and Oregon came back. Well, Dan Lanning had. So I don't know if y'all watched the game, but Dan Lanning had some horrible coaching decisions. First half, instead of kicking the field goal, being down one on the 1 yard line, they went forward and didn't get it. But that they came back and took the lead, then going forward on that fourth down at about midfield when Oregon ain't got no timeouts left and you got the lead. Yeah, you punt that ball deep, put them inside the 15 or 10 and let them make them drive down the field. It was like 2 plays they scored.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was some poor coaching decisions by him, and he took the blame for it after the game. But that was an outstanding game, one of the best games I've seen so far this year.
Yeah.
Michael Penix, man, he's showing me a lot. Like, I remember watching him a couple of years ago in Indiana. I was like, man, this guy can't throw the ball for nothing. Now he went to a different school, got around some talent. He got a nice deep ball. Gonna get drafted.
Fits right
going
in that
forward,
Pac-12.
Yep, going forward, there's both teams still got chances, man. They went out, a chance of getting the playoffs. Washington, that schedule real quick. Washington, Pac-12 got a lot of ranked teams this year. I'm trying to pull up Washington's schedule real quick.
Yeah, they actually hit on that. They have 6 ranked teams in the AP top 25 right now.
Yeah,
which leads the entire college football.
Yeah, Washington got Arizona State.
Got 6 too.
Arizona State and Stanford next before they play USC, Utah, and Oregon State all in a row. 3 ranked teams in a row, and Washington State, who's not ranked, but they're not a bad team that can surprise you.
Yeah.
And same with Oregon. That was a great game to watch. I really enjoyed it.
I'm with you too, Lamar. That about Washington, I don't think that was an upset. That team is a good that team's a good team, and that
quarterback, that's a toss-up game.
That quarterback can play. Like I don't know if he found it or if he was just they got the right person to show him or whatever it is, but he can play. I think that team to me is a legit team to be at number 5 right there. And isn't this funny though? Like the Pac-12, actually 6 teams in the top 25. They're playing great football, even defense at sometimes, and then the conference is going to blow up and go away.
It's crazy.
What timing for that though? Is it good timing for the other conferences, or is this just like? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, is it good for these conferences?
I mean, I would say it's a mixture of both.
Or I mean, you know, because man, come on, if that conference would have played like this last year, would they have broken up? I mean,
probably not.
I mean, it's hard to say. You know, I mean, you don't know what's propelling those programs to want to leave the Pac-12.
Money. That's what's propelling them. That's right. It's always money.
I mean, like, okay, I didn't necessarily mean to coin that as an upset because Washington was favored by 3 points in the long run. It's just, you know, with how much that now propelled them rankings-wise to move into the top 5.
Anytime you get a win over a top 10 appointment, you're going to get propelled. Just the way that it is.
Yeah, I mean, more power to them. And then another game I wanted to focus on, and I know you guys might not watch much of the ACC, but Louisville and Pitt, and of course, Pitt coming, you know, out of a bye week and so on and so forth. Pat Narduzzi makes a quarterback change, puts in former Penn State quarterback who transferred there, Christian Veilleux, and they just found cylinders and they beat Louisville to hand them their first loss, even though Pitt really didn't get much love for the AP top 25. They're 2-4 now, but I think that it's a turning point in Pitt's football season because now you can go to a guy that actually can really play some footballs, getting his first true chance to prove himself. And, you know, I'm happy for Christian Veilleux. You know, he spent time at Penn State, was really a solid backup when needed, and he has shown that, you know, hey, he can get the call and he can deliver. But does that now here's a true question, does that now make the loss, the Notre Dame's loss to Louisville, does that make that even worse now? the fact that Pitt beat Louisville?
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, like they say, any given Sunday, any given Saturday, stuff happens in certain games. It's the way it is. I mean, Pittsburgh had a good game plan. They ran the ball 33 times. The quarterback threw 26 times, so they had a little balanced attack. Quarterback didn't make no mistakes, threw 2 touchdowns. I mean, and Pittsburgh defense was outstanding in the second half. They didn't give up no points after giving up 21 points in the first half. So I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
got
all
to
about
think.
how you. It's all about how what happens from here from on for both teams. Louisville get back on track next week and get back in the win column, or what does Pittsburgh do next week?
Yeah, and they're at
Do they
Notre Dame.
do they win or get back into the loss column? Louisville has a bye before they host Duke next week. That's a big game. If they beat Duke, then they can right the ship. And you just
Duke
can't
has,
let you can't let a loss. I always say this phrase: you can't let a loss beat you twice. So you get back out there on practice field a bye week, work on what you need to work on, and get back to it. Pittsburgh got Wake Forest and Notre Dame at Wake Forest and at Notre Dame and at Florida State. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I
That
didn't,
is definitely true.
yeah, I didn't see much of Pitt this year, but I like Louisville, and to me, they just had that off game. I mean, they all have it. And Pitt had a good game, and you saw that in that second half. I had that on those 3 box. I'm just loving those boxes, by the way. I say this
Yeah.
every week, but it allows you to watch all these games like that, so you get to see, parts of like that, and you get and Louisville just looked off from the start, kind of. I mean, well, they got rolling right away, but I mean, they didn't look like themselves all the way through. And again, that could be Pitt playing out of their head. I don't know much about Pitt, so I don't know if they were playing out of their head or what. But again, going back to your point, Lamar, I mean, you've said it a couple of times, but I think it's because this is the time of the year where this is that crucial point of the year right now. And from here going forward, you win or you're gone. And that's just the fact
Yeah,
right now.
and as the
And
season goes on, even the lesser teams get better as long as they ain't checked out mentally. The
yeah, and
season
these
goes as long as you don't check out, as long as teams don't check out mentally. I mean, it's the type of season where you see, oh, they should blow them out, but it
Yeah,
don't
and I
always
don't think
happen that way.
enough ain't given to those bowl games neither. Get those six
Yeah,
wins. That gives
yeah,
you those bowl games, and those that used to mean something. Now it's like, oh, you're not in the college playoffs. You can't, come on, man, getting a good bowl game still, and having your
yeah,
team take that home, that should still mean something for your program.
yep,
Exactly. I
yep.
like how you phrase that, Paul, because a lot of people basically look at it now as it's either college football playoff or bust, and they think
Yeah.
that all these other bowls are lower tier level bowls. And even though some could be, getting a bowl game is better than not qualifying for a bowl game. And to go off of that, if Pitt say gets 6 wins, which they still have a chance to do, and stuff like that, where does it position them? Because that some of those losses might not look so good on them, but a bowl's a bowl.
Yeah,
That
and it
is true.
should still mean that. Yeah.
And now just a quick look, we mentioned the Pac-12 has 6 teams ranked. The Big Ten has 4. The SEC has 6. The Big 12 now has 2, and the ACC got 5. Let me ask you guys this. You guys want to preview these upcoming games this week? I know week 8 is traditionally rivalry week in college football. Let's put it this way. I'm not going to start with a specific game because I'll save that for a little later. But
No, go for it, because Penn State, Ohio State's going to be one of the
okay.
Yeah,
biggest
it's the
games
big
this
game. Yeah,
weekend,
yeah.
and
Penn State and
that's going to be a
Ohio
must
State.
watch.
So Penn State and Ohio State are going to be playing this week. It is big noon. It's Fox big noon kickoff. And on top of that,
Oh, man.
ESPN's College Game Day is going to be in Columbus for the matchup right now the odds are -4.5 in favor of the Buckeyes. But I want to hint to people is that there were certain people that were out last week against Purdue. I know that a few Ohio State stars did not travel with,
Henderson didn't play.
and I know that some of them might be rolled out for this week. And I want to say this, okay, minus whether those guys play or not, Ohio State is usually one of those programs that can plug in their depth and really not miss a beat. But here's where I get to say this is I think this is a game Penn State does pull. And the reason I say that is this. It's going to be the toughest defense Ohio State probably faces, if not the second toughest defense Ohio State faces this year. And the fun fact is Ohio State has never beaten Penn State with a Pennsylvania quarterback. And Kyle McCord is actually from Pennsylvania. So there's that twist to it. I also think that with Drew Aller at the helm and how he's been able to get himself a little bit more seasoned, something just tells me these guys are going to practice at a different tempo this week and that these guys are going to practice with a lot more heart and soul. And I'm not just saying that because I went to Penn State. I'm not just saying that because of that. I'm saying based off of what I see from both teams right now, I think Penn State pulls this out on the road. I think it is definitely in Penn State's favor to win in Columbus, and they're going to send a statement that this year they're not a joke, that they are legit one of the contenders in the Big Ten, and it could ultimately come down to them in Michigan in late November for the Big Ten East to represent the Big Ten. But I would just say based off of how everything is, Penn State will pull this out even though they are underdogs on the road in Columbus.
I agree with you, but listen, isn't that funny how only in sports will we say that there's a jinx of a Philadelphia or would you say Pennsylvania quarterback that ain't never won? I mean, only in sports will we bring out those kind of obscure references like that. But I'm with you, Tom. I think Penn State. I think they got it, and two reasons. I think Penn State's playing better, and I think Ohio State is not the same Ohio State as they've been. That to me adds in for a perfect match that this is the year. If Penn State's going to do it in Ohio, then this is the year they get it done.
Absolutely. What about you, Lamar?
Penn State should win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State win. Both teams really haven't played nobody yet this year, so Ohio State has played Notre Dame when they won a tough game, but Penn State got a tough defense. Should be able to stop the run and make McCord beat them. But the game is at Ohio State, and it's going to be crazy out there. So Penn State should win. It's gonna come down to. I think it's gonna come down to what quarterback plays the best. Can Aller play and can Aller go in enemy territory with a raucous crowd and perform and not get rattled? And can McCord stay efficient and not throw in turnovers? I mean, he's proven to show toughness already. I mean, you can say what you want about him.
He's getting better though.
He went to Notre Dame and struggled pretty much the whole game, but when it came down to fourth quarter, he got that team in for a touchdown. So it's gonna be a good, interesting game. Penn State got the defensive talent that should dominate them, but Frank's record against Penn State and Michigan ain't too good. That plays a factor too. So we see. I think Penn State edges them out though.
I think what it really comes down to is this. Manny Diaz is very good on third down with those blitzes, and no matter how he disguises them, no quarterback is really able ever to read who's actually coming and who breaks back in coverage. And that can throw McCord off, and also their T formation that Penn State likes to do on offense. Like, you never know who's going to get that ball. And I think that that's what separates Penn State from this Ohio State team is the fact that you have those matchups where you can't really tell who's going to get what. And also, it wouldn't surprise me if Mike Yurcich has a few packages where he has both Drew and Bo on the field at the same time, because like Mike Yurcich has said at the bye week in his press conference and before, there's things he likes about Bo on the field at the same time with Drew that Drew cannot do that Bo can do, and vice versa. So it's like whenever you throw stuff at a team that is not on film and it catches them off guard, I think what it's going to come down to really is those smaller things. Who can stop who whenever it's the smaller things? And I think just Penn State has the slightest edge here to edge them out in a few combinations that might catch Ohio State off of their toes with it. So I got Penn State. And then now comes a bigger rivalry game between Michigan and Michigan State. And this has a whole lot of things to do. Michigan obviously is favored by like 20 some points. I would say Michigan does pull this out though. Their offense is just their offensive line and their defensive line are too good. Donovan Edwards mixed with Blake Corum is just a 1-2 combination that not a lot of teams can really stop. But on top of that, you got J.J. McCarthy, who has some great wide receivers at his disposal. But it's not even just that. It's just the way that this guy carries himself and the way that he can throw. I think, Michigan they just outdo Michigan State in a lot of areas, and Michigan State's got a lot going on. But I got Michigan State. There's really not much to break down there, at least for me. What about
Michigan? Yeah, Michigan should beat them pretty handily. They've been playing good ball. Michigan always gonna have a physical team. I mean, sometimes they start slow, but that's their style of play. Start slow, the next thing you know, they up by like 4 touchdowns.
What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I don't even see this game even on the radar. I mean, it's Michigan, and I mean, I don't see how they could have any problem. Michigan State ain't in their league right now. But
what other games you guys want to talk about?
that ACC man got to give them a little love because that Duke Florida State game is going to be a good game.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that Duke surprised me this year, man. I mean, I've never thought of them as a football school, really. I mean, they've always been, they in the ACC, so they have
times changing.
But boy, this year they've actually played way above what I could ever remember Duke playing in football.
Mm-hmm.
No, I totally agree. Totally agree. I think Duke's carrying themselves a little bit better this year, and I think staying in some of those games where most people think like that Notre Dame game should have probably been.
They should have won.
Yeah.
They messed up towards the end. Can't remember what they did, but I remember watching. It's like, man.
But I mean, totally. I think that's really going to be a great game. That's Saturday night, so that's going to be a good game to watch. Mm-hmm. And then there's like
Tennessee, Alabama.
Yep.
That's gonna be a big game for that side of the SEC. I mean, if they can actually upset Alabama, which this year, man, I don't see anybody again having this power grab on anything. So, I mean, it's totally possible Tennessee could pull this one out.
I mean, it is. I think that we've seen throughout these weeks that any team can show up and win on any given weekend. It's just, do you have that it factor, and do you do one thing better than the other team? It's all about execution. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Tennessee beats Alabama. It really wouldn't. I mean, it's not like Alabama is some unbeatable god. Like, Alabama has shown that they are beatable. So, yeah, I would probably say Tennessee could actually pull that game out if it came down to it.
They can. I don't know. It's in Alabama, right?
Yeah, it's in Alabama at 3:30.
That would be the only edge that I'm gonna give them right now. And that's because Tennessee's not. They have this thing about being on the road, man. But
man, I go with Alabama. I didn't see Tennessee lay too many eggs.
Exactly.
In big games.
Exactly.
Like against Florida.
Yep. This could be this on the other side, though, this could be their big game. If they win this game, this could catapult Tennessee into something that they haven't been in a long time, since a guy named Manning was running back behind there. So this could go that way, or just like you said, Lamar, they could just be Tennessee like they always have been, and lose to Alabama again and be just a really good team. That's about where they ever get to, right?
Yep.
What other games do you guys want to talk about? Because I know that there's Washington State, Oregon, there's South Carolina and Missouri, there's Texas, Houston.
Washington, USC, that one's going to be really good.
Yes, there's that one too.
Again, you get USC going to try to find out what they're made of. Can they come back? Because that's not a joke team they're coming back on. That's number 5 team.
Yeah, USC score points, but they're gonna give up points too. So that's gonna be a high scoring game. I think that
Anybody know what time that one comes on?
Washington and what's the name?
Yeah.
Washington State, USC.
Yeah.
8 o'clock y'all time, 5 o'clock my time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, USC versus Utah. That's going to be pretty good.
All right, maybe we'll get all those in those.
USC, Utah, yeah.
That's because I know Arizona State and Washington play, and yeah, I mean, I would really look forward to that Utah USC game. That's going to be something because again, I don't know why people just in some ways I feel like Utah gets a little disrespected, but they are the Pac-12 champs the past like 2 years, so it's like it's going to be a tough game. I mean, they're gonna want to prove themselves, and that's going to definitely, because USC is going to want to bounce back. They're going to want to show that, hey, that was a bad game, and it's okay to have bad games, but they're going to want to bounce back, and Utah is also going to want to give them a game. So that's definitely going to be one to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kept saying Washington. I meant Utah. Does Washington play this week?
Yes, they play against Arizona State.
Okay. I don't know why I can't find that. Arizona State, that should be an okay, easy win for them. Not easy. There ain't never no easy when it comes to Arizona and Arizona State. I found that out.
Let's put it this way. There's never no easy win in college football. I mean, there never really is. It's you can have any team show up.
I'm proud of the Pac-12 though. I really am, man. To me, it just cracks me up because they always get this like out of the Big Five, they're like always put number 4. Poor, Big 12 is always put the number 5, and they talk so bad about them and that all that happened, and then look at them this year. Like to me, it's just crazy because you even have UCLA, who's a good team.
They playing good, 25.
That's a good team. And then, but where are they at? You don't even talk about them right now because of all those better teams in that 10. So I mean, it's just crazy that they're actually that conference is as good as it is this year. I find it amusing.
Absolutely. Do you think it might have to deal with some of those teams that are headed to the Big Ten that they're trying to ramp up? So it's like, because they know it's going to be a level of competition up in an extent joining the Big Ten.
I'm sure that's been on their recruiting mouths coming out for sure.
I don't know. It's just they always had talent on the Pac-12. They always score a lot of points. They ain't nothing new. Just
California talent.
It's just that Washington got Penix and Oregon is back good now with a good coaching staff. But I mean, it's gonna be interesting when some of these Pac-12 teams get to the Big Ten because you better be able to score some points. I'll tell you that much.
Better be able to stop somebody in the Big Ten.
Well, no, bro. Some of them offenses is stagnant in the Big Ten.
Well, yeah, but with those bad defenses, I mean,
yeah. What offense scares you in the Big Ten besides Michigan? I'm not scared of Ohio State offense. Harrison, I'm not really scared of Penn State offense. All you're gonna do is run the ball, put 8 men in the box, and blitz the quarterback.
I don't know. See, I kind of like Penn State's offense myself.
Come on, man. They ain't played nobody yet.
But that's right. And like I said, it all comes up starting right now, right? I mean, look at those lists of the games coming up for each of these guys. Like, dude, this is the time for college football. By the way, when does the real rankings come out?
Next week.
I see. Now that's when we that's when we're going to get into it because I guess that's all that matters. And what do you think about next year? If it's this bad right now, when we're talking about how bad people think about bowl teams, what about next year when they get 8 teams in? Are bowls going to mean anything at all? Because if you don't get one of those 8 spots, is your season just really bad? Because now there's 8. Like you got to get in with 8, right? I mean, that's what everybody's going to be thinking, right? Like we got to get in. There's 8.
I'm just happy that with these conferences, it's going to eradicate some of those horrible games we have to watch on Saturday when you got a top-notch school playing some school they ain't got no business playing because of money.
And getting beat by him, huh?
Yeah, not getting beat, just getting clobbered. Uh,
Mm.
all them years when
Hey,
Alabama was playing Citadel, beating them like 50 to 60 to nothing. Like, come on, man,
Yeah.
you ain't got no business playing that team at all.
No, that's true. I mean, I
I mean,
always wondered why
I
they
get
did
the
it.
other team get a 7-figure paycheck, but I ain't nobody trying to watch that.
Yeah. But that's what I was saying. I love it when that little team wins one, you know?
Yeah, they hardly ever win
They
though.
pay that school $700,000 to
Yeah.
come and play and
Appalachian
beat
State got Michigan that year though. That was fun.
them. That's great when that happens, man. Like you paid to get your butt kicked. Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, what can you do? I mean, you get a legendary memory to say, I at least got to play in a big house. I got a chance to play at the Horseshoe. I got a chance to play at Beaver Stadium. I got a chance to play at Alabama. Like,
But
you get to have that memory to say you stepped on that field
what is
regardless.
it like? Isn't it Georgia? Is it Georgia Southern or Georgia State that
Yeah.
plays?
Yeah.
And I mean that's they pretty much live off that, right? Them and Appalachian
Yep.
State, don't they like they live on the fact that we'll play any we'll
Yeah.
be your whooping boy, just pay us, you know? And then they're recruiting, it's like, hey, come here, you'll get to play one of those guys. You'll get your shot every year, you know.
Yep.
I don't necessarily think it's all like that. I mean, it's also about you got to look at it from this perspective. Is they also get to face talented Division I guys that get to allow them to get better too. Focus on, hey, you're facing top tier talent. I mean, I wouldn't just say that those guys are just pushover games. I mean, there are some fairly good group of five programs that have no problem coming in and really feeding off that underdog mentality. I think it could go a lot of ways with that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, Appalachian State's probably the most like notorious prone to do that because they beat Michigan a while back and they almost beat Penn State a few years back in like 2019.
Yeah.
So it's like,
But but
I
I'm with
don't
Lamar
get why
though. I think it's time.
I don't get why
Man,
everybody just looks at
man,
App State.
them games is horrible. The only teams I actually play somebody that plays in state. I'm not watching no Alabama plays Georgia State, Penn State play UMass to watch that team get clobbered just like the way they did.
Sometimes you watch
I
this
mean,
poor guy going to tackle somebody. He
Yeah,
looks scared as shit. He's like,
soon as you
oh,
turn the game, soon as the game on, you can tell they're on a different level just by the way they run down the field.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I think the time's passed, man, and it'll be
Yeah,
good to get those because they're going to have to because you only have so many weeks now, and you got too many teams in the conference. You're going to have to play everything now from the get go. Like you
yeah, I
don't
think
you
they're
well, I
don't
more
mean,
have a
likable
week.
because now with 8 teams, you might can have 2 losses and still get in.
That's true too.
Yeah, so that you're gonna
True
get
too.
more.
Oh man, that is true. That's going to be fun.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
you know what? I'm excited for what the Big Ten is going to look like for the next 4 to 5 years. Just like I would have at least hoped that they would have protected some rivalries, but hey, I mean,
they don't care about no rivalries. All they care about what's going in that bank account.
Mm-hmm.
that's true. I mean, it's
Give me
unfortunate, but
that money,
that is
money, money,
Yeah,
money, money,
so
money.
yeah,
Yeah, but I'm with you too, Tom. I love the rivalries and like no matter what, I hope Oklahoma and Texas get to play every year.
I think
oh,
they
they
said they
will.
were
Yes,
trying to.
Are
yes,
they
these
getting that? Because that
Yeah,
kind of stuff, I love those games. Like I love those games. As much as they haven't been so kind to me, but the Florida State, those are my game. I love that thing. Like that means something here, even if we suck. Like you know,
yeah.
you know what I mean. It means something still. So I love those games, man. Oh, one more quick thing. What did you think about Colorado's dive, man? Was that a Colorado dive or was that Stanford?
29 nothing, man. Phew,
That
that was crazy. Blow that lead.
29. 29. Oh.
Yeah,
I mean,
can't do that.
it just shows they are what they are. They won one game last year. I mean, give them a break, but boy,
You gotta win that. Yeah, you gotta
yeah,
win that game. Though.
you
You can't
can't
lose
lose
20.
that. Can't
Yeah,
lose
they
that
was
game.
getting. Yeah, they got some stuff to figure out. They gotta they gotta run the ball a little bit more. If you ask me.
And they got Washington still. They have see they already beat them. They
Yeah,
have so
I mean, next year will be the year where they actually can win like maybe 8 or 9 games. You gotta get that offensive line fixed and get some other stuff handled out.
Yeah, he's got issues, but that was pretty crazy, man. I ain't seen an
Yeah,
epic fail like that since the NFL playoffs a few years ago. I mean,
yeah,
crazy stuff.
yeah. Since that was like Jacksonville versus the Chargers last year in the playoffs. Remember
Yep,
that?
yep, that's true. Yep, wild.
Or anything more you guys got to add? Because I know we're approaching about 2 minutes remaining. So if
Nope.
that's going to do it for this edition of the EDF College Football Podcast. For Paul Casanova and Lamar Fields, I'm Tom Johnston. We'll see you guys on the next one.